我在清华上学的时候呢，当我刚开始做 research 的时候，我发现很多的 research paper is published by this IEEE. So I asked one day to an older advisor this IEEE thing, and he told me that it's not IEEE, it's IEEE. So instantly I saw this is super cool. And when I entered into my graduate study, I myself published a lot of papers on IEEE journals, and I know how hard it will be to serve as the leadership position in this huge professional organization. So today, we are honored to have one of our own, 吴旻校友. She will be the president of IEEE Signal Processing Society, which is the first woman of color in the 75 years history of this organization. Welcome.
First, good morning, everyone. 早上好，各位学长、学姐、学弟、学妹。Knowing the distinguished speakers before me and after me, I prepared mine in English as well. It's really an honor, and I'm so much humbled by this opportunity to speak today to our Tsinghua alumni family. It is particularly a tough assignment to speak after Secretary Eileen Chao. She had devoted herself to the public service at the forefront as Chinese American and Asian woman, with her wisdom, hard work, and grace, as we all have seen in the previous speech. I'll reflect with my experience as a researcher and educator to share with you the takeaways from my journey in the global professional society. With my technical background in digital image processing and multimedia technology research, we actually was talking with the organizing team yesterday about everywhere digital image processing and compression techniques that in the areas that we know and in the areas we may not be aware of. And I consider myself a visual person. And to prepare today's talk, I dug out my old photo album. And all those old pictures brought back many memories. And I will show some of them today, and you may find some of them very familiar. Today, with the rise of digital camera and smartphones, which only for the most recent 2 decades, when we came to the States and in our graduate school time, there is very, very expensive and only in the research lab. However, it is at our palm top, and we took tons of pictures, including today, and especially if we have people that in the newborns, and let's see, I'm trying to figure out the slides. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so you see that the baby pictures today is nothing extraordinary. But in the 1970s, if we go back, many pictures are black and white, and we only took those in special occasions in photo studio. I was very lucky to have a color baby pictures for myself when the color picture films and prints just entered China, and in 中国照相馆 in Beijing, that my parents took me there. And a few years after, I had my, let's see if the technology works, okay. I had my very first tour of Tsinghua when my mom took me to her college reunion. I posed with her female classmates of civil engineering. You could hardly see the banner in 中央主楼, and that reads, 热烈庆祝清华大学70周年, the celebrating of the 70th year anniversary of the Tsinghua establishment. And the way people dress here in the picture will remind us of many of the old movies. So much has changed since then in China after the open policy. And many of us today and elsewhere as a Tsinghua alumni are beneficiaries of such change and the tremendous comeback of China. Fast forward to 1991, when the university is celebrating the 80th anniversary, I took the college entrance exam and earned my ticket to Tsinhua's automation department. I spent 5 years in Tsinghua, like many of you. This is only a fraction of time compared with San Qingtuan, who have all their degrees in Tsinghua. But those years are really memorable. And the intensive pressure in the first month, first semester, was just like happened yesterday, as we truly understand and become to understand what it means. 天外有天. There's another layer of sky outside our own, because we have all the talents from everywhere in the country. The competitions coming in various forms, and it also coming hand in hand with friendships, as we learn to appreciate each other's company in classrooms, in libraries, in dining halls, and also in the spring excursions, as in the first pictures, and in the winter ice skating. And many of our female alumni from this picture in the 1990s or before, you would immediately recognize the rundown furniture in our dorm. It's nothing fancy like all the students would enjoy today. But we still have our friendship, and we still survived. And we also saw special talents in arts, in sports of all kinds in our classmates. Although my parents has nurtured from early on broad interest, when I was very young, I didn't manage to excel in any of them, sports or arts, due to taking on special academic opportunities. So now in college came the opportunity. I happened to learn that Tsinhua's chess team was recruiting girls. This was for the next Jinhua Bei 棋牌友谊赛, the chess and bridge competitions with our next door neighbor, Peking University. And better yet, no prior experience required, they can teach. And many of you may remember in the early 1990s, there's the first non-Russian world ladies chess champion, Xie Jun. She inspired the whole nation. And with admirations of her, and with also enriching my own life after the study, I started my weekly session with the chess team until the end of my sophomore year. And you will see the pictures of my playing on behalf of Tsinghua as a newcomer, and also with both teams from Peking and the Tsinghua universities in our competition. From the chess team teammates, I learned so much. I also learned so much from the game. Winning or losing, how to conduct yourself, how to carry on, how to move forward. But it also becoming very clear, with that becoming popular in China, many of the young kids start learning and start making such rapid progress. So it's very clear to me that I was too old to compete meaningfully in chess. So it's a time to move on, to find other ways to be busy, and that include to serve as the first female vice president in the Department Science and Technology Association, that's 自动化系科协, and also enrolled in the intensive program to earn a double major in economics and management. And that's the top pictures was with my classmates from automation, and together we endured 2 years of intensive study, and there are 60 from the co-campus that we studied together to earn a double major. And the bottom ones was from the Challenge Cup, 挑战杯, that our 科协 has helped the department to win. It was also the time that to celebrate, let's see if this works, Can you press the next slide? I think we need to click the, okay, thank you. So I graduate with our classmate, and they are so rebellious that they refuse to put on the gowns. So we only have this one at the ceremony in front of the main building. And also during the second half of the college, I become increasingly interested in studying abroad. And I want to learn and find out firsthand what makes the United States so strong and powerful in science and technology. So I came, after graduation, to the States to pursue a PhD. And probably like all of you, I had many of my culture shocks and many the first. The first picnic, barbecue, and the first ski trip, the first time to see the Statue of Liberty, and of course, the US Capitol building. And even though at that time, I cannot predict in a few years, I will start my decades not too far away from the US Capitol. And on the serious matters, for pursuing PhD in electrical engineering in Princeton, I remembered my first conference and first papers. And I pose here to present my first paper with my advisor, Professor B.D. at Princeton, and also the first book written based on my thesis work. I was researching on digital watermarking and data hiding technologies and theories, motivated by the rise of digital image and sound and the concerns of copyright infringement and the easy tampering of content using software tools. I didn't have my eye primarily on academic career in my graduate school times, because my research was of interest to many of the industry research labs. But I did appreciate the freedom to pursue curiosity-driven research in university and to have benefited deeply from having a supportive and thoughtful advisor. And I still remember my struggle in mind that envisioning a faculty career, the tenure process was intimidating even for men, even for native speakers. And there was also so few female professors in engineering, and especially in electrical and computer engineering, and especially Chinese women. The four names, the four pictures I showed here, each were the first in their own departments. And I was truly lucky to have met them at different stages of my career and have them as role models, as supporters, and continue to now. And they are, from the top, Professor Margaret Matanasi. Some of you working in computer knows that she's an expert in computer architecture and sensor network. I was in her very first computer architecture course, and she still remembers fondly today. And now she's a member of the National Academy of Engineering and leading the National Science Foundation's computer program. The next, some of you may see her face familiar, Professor Yao Wang of NYU Poly, and she's Associate Dean for Faculty Affairs there. She's one of our own. She's one of our alumni in the early 1980s. And she is perhaps one of the very first female tenure-track faculty members from Tsinghua alumni and from the China, mainland China background. During my graduate school time, she was just tenured. I saw the hard work, I saw the talent in her, the perseverance, and that is inspiration. And the next one, Professor Robab Ward was among the first PhDs in electrical engineering in Berkeley. But when she moved to Vancouver with her husband, a civil engineer, it took many years for the university to agree to offer her a tenure-track position. And when she got the chance, she rose up very quickly, both on research, on translation, and also succeeded in many ways in our professional society. She was our past president of the IEEE Senior Processing Society and had won the highest honor of the society. And she's now the VP Education for the entire IEEE. And she actually, with another lady, Kasozaki, on the top corner, was among the first of the PhD in electrical engineering in Berkeley. Castle was the very first PhD, and both of them coming from the Middle East, and both of them have a very supportive husband supporting them in their career. And Castle didn't make a big deal complaining about the many challenges she had endured. She was the very first female engineering professor hired by the University of Maryland. A female staff member later had recalled there was only one stall in the female restroom for a long time during her earlier career. And that was shared by all the female staff members and her alone as the sole female faculty member. And that's no need to say there's challenges when she had kids and others. But she had really spoken to me as one of my mentors when I joined the university. Talk about to have a balanced life and work, to build a strong support. And you will see some of my reflections talking about her impact, and also to really appreciate the support I have with my extended family and with my husband today, actually taking care of the kids, and they are running their final competition of their summer swim season. And today, the numbers has risen. The supportive policies such as maternity and paternity leave was established, although there was still, in many ways, we see considerable room for improvement. And all these female faculty members and pioneers have paved the way so that our path after them could be smoother. So we also need to take on the torch, as I have been doing at university and outside, within US and outside the US, to take on the torch to mentor our young faculty colleagues, male and female, to help them to be successful in their career. Academic career is like a one-person startup, especially in North America, to raise funds, to recruit and train good people, that's our good students and postdoc, to deliver the near-term products, which is in the form of new knowledge and the research and innovations. And in the longer run, those products and impact are the students in the next generation that we train them and helping them to embark on their successful independent career. I was very fortunate to have my share of awards in pursuit of excellence in research and education. On that regard, however, I'm only one among many of our talented Tsinghua alumni who are pursuing academia career. And you will find them in the Tsinghua Alumni Academic Club. We call it TAC. That's mimicking the TIC in the Entrepreneur Club. So our TAC was founded by our devoted alumni Qin Sizhao, and with a number of our alumni contributing to the leadership, Lin Xihong, Wang Yinghai, Xiao Chengshan, who is in the audience, and many others in the academia. In the TAC just held the first post-COVID forum earlier this month at the University of Maryland campus, and you can see from the good picture there. While Tsinghua is known for being the land of talents, 人杰地灵, throughout the history, regardless of the political era, we have a strong legacy to go beyond our individual excellence. And that starts with our university motto, 自强不息，厚德载物, that call for the kindness to others and the moral character. And it was also very strongly inspired by another motto of Shuping Scholarship Association. This is one of China's earliest and largest private scholarship foundations founded during the peak of the World War II. From 1939 to 1949, the founder, Mr. Gu has sponsored over 1,000 talented students from low-income families. Without that support, they will have to quit school, quit study, and find a job to support their family. Mr. Gu instilled a very strong sense of responsibility in those scholarship recipients in terms of 得诸社会,还诸社会, giving back to the society and to those people in need, not just to show the gratitude of his own sponsorship. And you will find many scholarship recipients have strong ties in Tsinghua. And both in the initial 10 years during the World War II, and many of them becoming our scientists and scholars and the leaders in the field, becoming our teachers when they entered Tsinghua and stayed. And also in the new generation when the scholarship resumed in since the 1980s. And like these good pictures taken during my time in Tsinghua in the early 1990s. I was very fortunate to join Shuping when I entered high school. That motto, giving back to the society, had motivated me over the years, and in big ways, guiding my involvement with the IEEE, as you have learned from our host. IEEE is the world's largest professional societies in engineering and computing, advancing the technology for humanity. And just like many of our IEEE colleagues, this shows the timeline of my own involvement, starting from the grassroots, from the baselines. And I serve as the reviewers, like many of our academic colleagues and researchers, elected to the technical committees to contribute, and serve as associate editors for journals, and also to organize the local activities as chapter chair and run the e-newsletters. And I highlighted in both phases some of the key positions with those accumulated experiences to do very well as a finance chair in our flagship conferences. And that led to enthusiastic nomination of me to become the first vice president with mainland China background to serve in the IEEE Signal Processing Society. And later on, I also served as editor-in-chief for the flagship magazine, the IEEE Signal Processing magazine, with the covers of the magazine during my terms showing up on the other side of the screen. And I was really lucky and appreciate many of the mentors and collaborators whom I learned from. Still, there are things that we need to do, and I learned to work hard and work smart to deliver very high quality work, to take initiatives so that others can count on the contribution, can count on me, and to get things done. And to have the discipline to go out of the comfort zone, to explore new challenges and learn new perspectives and contribute different ways. And also to be fair and reasonable, to appreciate other people's from different backgrounds, to appreciate their efforts and point of views while speaking out and speaking up what I believe in. And all these principles have enabled me to grow in roles and responsibilities and allowed me to help many people with a variety of backgrounds from all over the world, both be within and beyond Chinese and Asian background. Inevitably, that could run into problems with people who are known to have their own agenda. And when this happens, we face a choice. Do we retreat and give in? Or do we move forward to have a seat at the table and to make a meaningful change? And many of us, speaking of having a seat at the table, remember the notion that if you don't have a seat at the table, you will be on the menu because our fate will be decided by others. And better yet, the words from President Obama is very enlightening on this regard. And he has said, don't just be involved, fight for your seat at the table. And better yet, fight for the seat at the head of the table. So relating to my own experience in 2021, I have under my belt various service awards and technical awards, and I had a full range of credentials. I was nominated to run for the president of my home professional society. And when my name was taken out from the proposed ballot, while two white male colleagues' names moved forward, I decided to fight back, to run as a petition candidate. And because giving in at that moment would mean that this kind of actions will embolden the block of other qualified candidates in the future. And also by the policies at the time in the society for the qualification requirement, it is unlikely we will see a Chinese candidate in the next 8 to 10 years. I'm so grateful for the overwhelming support from people who have worked with or who have appreciated the contributions and effort I put in to benefit the community. And my courage and the credentials have inspired a record number of participation in the voting, both globally and doubling the voting rate in Asia-Pacific regions. And here, I also very much appreciate the support by numerous Tsinghua alumni, and many of you are in today's audience, and I didn't have a chance to say thank you in person, and today I really want to express my gratitude for this. It is a win for everyone. As you may see that I won decisively. In a three-way race, I won more votes than the other two candidates combined. And with that, I'm serving for the 2-year terms currently as the president-elect of the IEEE Signal Processing Society. And starting next year, I will become the first woman of color to be the president for the society in its 75 years history. And I actually just came back from a 2-week trip, stopping in Europe and in China to discuss with our colleagues to look at student activities, how to outreach, how to support our young generation, how to engage them, and also how to involve our Asian colleagues and particularly encourage and helping our Chinese colleagues to get more involved in the IEEE and going to the global stage. And those hard work was really inspired by my mentor and colleague at University of Maryland, Dr. Ray Liu, who was the IEEE's president last year. He was the first Chinese American to take on this post. And that is a big deal because IEEE has 400,000 members. And just for the product of the IEEE Explore, that's a digital library hosting all the conference and journal proceedings, there are over 4 million users. And even more, with the IEEE standards, whether it's Wi-Fi, Ethernet, or many of the electrical systems, there are hundreds of millions of users worldwide, and he was the lead. And he had said that don't just get elected. He worked very hard last years toward his presidencies because, and also he had the courage and the skills to tackle important and difficult issues for the IEEE. Because he said he wanted the people to know that we Asians can be great presidents and great leaders, not just get elected, but we can be great in making contributions for the whole community. On these final slides, I want to share with everyone in our alumni family and that our voice and our sweat can make differences. We can collectively to leave a very strong legacy as Tsinghua alumni in North America. Each of us can contribute to our local or global communities or both. For example, in my community, and I live in the midpoint between DC and Baltimore, and that county, Howard County, is not very large, but we are very, very active in our Chinese American community and the Asian American communities. And we contribute to the local communities, and you will see the pictures that we were doing the harvest. We joined the nonprofit organizations to do volunteer harvesting and then donate those harvest vegetables and crops to the food bank to help end hunger in this country. And also, we have our alumni from USTC, 科大校友, and also University of Maryland, Chao Wu, had really lead the tie to run for the school board, as you heard Secretary Lin Zhao mention, and he's now in the State House as the state delegate. And in addition, we have our Peking University alumni, Ms. Xu Jing, had lead the Chinese parents and also build coalitions with other ethnic groups in our county to honor our traditional holidays. So even though we are very, very small in the county, we are perhaps one of the handful of the communities that on the Lunar New Year day, our kids will have that school day off, and that's already for 7+ years. And that is not easy, but we work together. So not only the Lunar New Year day, there's also the Diwali for the Indian communities and Muslim communities as well. And you saw from the picture that we rallied the support, and each of us donate funds, and also to speak in the public hearings to convey our desire and our needs, and to involve in all those activities. And we all can and need to participate and lead in some ways. There are many tables, and so that collectively we can have seats at many of the tables and have the potential to add the head of those tables. The Asian American Scholar Forum is one of the organizations that I'm spending a lot of time with in recent years, in addition to the technical side of the IEEE. The AASF was founded at the peak of the Department of Justice China initiative. And at that time, Professor Chen Gang of MIT was falsely accused and arrested by the FBI. And the FBI have inflammatory press conferences tossing out those sadly laughable reasons, because many of those that they accuse him are normal, legitimate academic activities and the norm for promoting open science. For example, writing a recommendation letter for his Chinese student was considered as a crime. Being invited to review articles and review research proposals, being accused, and also to act on behalf of MIT on publicly announced collaborations. The AASF, as a nonprofit organization promoting the academic belongings and openness, has played a key role in ending the DOJ China initiative. And Professor Chen Gang and a number of others have played active roles since then. But the fight isn't over. In fact, many of the policies in scientific research and international collaboration are actually getting worse because it's evolved into the neo-Marxism. Please support, regardless of whether you are in academia or not, please support, participate, and donate to help Asian American professionals to have a fair treatment and a healthy, open environment to advance science and technology. A new effort, in addition to those advocacy efforts launched by the AASF, is have opportunities that many of our second generations of alumni kids could get involved, because we also want to educate the American public, to educate the world of the contribution, the tremendous contributions that our Asian American or Chinese American had made to the American societies that changed the way we live and work. For example, we have a pilot effort of having videos to recognize those contributions. This is in preparation of the new Asian American Smithsonian Museum that you heard Secretary Eileen Zhao is leading. And some of those videos will talk about our Asian Americans' fundamental contributions to the image compression, to flash memory. We could not have today's gathering and the remote exchange with our Tsinghua colleagues and leaders without those technology. And there are Chinese and Asian American behind those fundamental and profound technologies. And regardless of our individual choices now into the future, be it stay in the US or pursuing opportunities in China or other places, many of our children were born and raised here. We as a Tsinghua alumni family need to and can be role models for our children, to fight to have seats at many tables to help our children to have their fair share of opportunities. And I will end with this combined motto, 厚德载物，还诸社会, to giving back to the society. Thank you very much.
If there's one thing I want to share about Tsinghua girls, is don't mess with them, because they will outsmart you. Thank you so much.